professionally. Why? It's not easy. The same way, if you go to the workplace today, 80% of people are probably not even applying what they knew when they were in school. If you want to be better for it, as you develop those skills, look for opportunities which is abundant in a setting like SPE. One of the things I like SPE about is whoever you are, whoever you want to be in future, SPE gives you the opportunity. If you want to be the president of this country in future, you can cultivate it from SPE. Recently, we see an announcement, the new head of NNPC. He is an SPE member till tomorrow. He has developed a lot of skills and done a lot within the SPE that will be part of his CV today. So SPE gives you the opportunity to be able to apply your skills and knowledge. I can't count how many times I've spoken at SPE events. Despite that I have a 9-to-5 job, but SPE event gives me the opportunity to be able to talk to people and hone my skills over the years. So whether you're a good programmer, whether you have good math skills, try as much as possible to apply it every day by volunteering, because your day-to-day activities, your school or your job, even for those of us that are professionals, will not give us the ability, will not give us the opportunity to apply those skills, because you are being paid to do a particular job at work. Because you are going to school to have a first class or 2-1 or whatever, but it's opportunities like SPE and other organizations out there that will give you that ability to be able to apply whatever skills you have developed over time. A good example is off and on. SPE gave him the opportunity when he developed the skills as an MC. Second point I will talk on today is persistence. There is persistence and there is consistency. They are both good virtues, but I prefer being persistent over being consistent. And the difference is this. Being consistent means that you do it as often as you can, every day or just every hour, whatever it is. But persistence means that even when things go tough, the good days, the bad days, the ugly days, you just do it. You don't quit, you just what? Do it. I remember like 7 or 8 years ago, I decided to read every day on either leadership or personal development or communication, and have motivational quotes posted every day when I read it. It wasn't easy. How many of us feels fine and good and excited 365 days? January 1 to December 31st. Any show of hands? It's probably not possible, but I will decide whether I'm eating today, whether I'm in a bad mood, I'll still post this. It might sound easy, but try posting or doing something every day for 365 days. Then you know how difficult it can be. So, when you want to be persistent with something, tell yourself, it's irrespective of how I feel. Whether I feel good, or bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. That is the real definition of persistence. The sustained effort necessary for achievement. It's not determined by your mood. Bruce Lee said in one of his quotes that I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Imagine if that kind of person kick you. He knows exactly where to kick. Not only that, he's very sure that when he kick you there, he knows what the effect will be. That is persistence. You have done it over and over, irrespective of your mood. I remember growing up. These days, when we see you guys, we think you are enjoying some things. My senior colleagues will know how many people they passed down once that year, 90s to early 2000. Minimum is 3 times. Yes. I doubt if there is any of you that wrote jam more than once in this hall. But that time, you will see people, I'm not kidding, 7 years. Francis Abialai. 7 years. I know people like that. In fact, writing it more than once was very, very normal. So, despite how good I was in secondary school, I became curious. What am I going to do differently that I will have to write this JAMB once? I wrote my JAMB in 2000. So one of the first things I got to realize, people go to tutorial center, people study hard, but they don't actually put themselves under the right condition in preparation for that final day. I might not remember exactly what it's like, but JAMB is about 4 questions, 4 subjects, maybe roughly 3 hours, 30 minutes. So you will see someone preparing for JAMB. He's very good at math, like very good, excellent. But before that day exam, he or she has never written an exam for 3.5 hours consecutively and continuously. He will just, when he's practicing, he will just practice math for 1 hour and that's all. Maybe tomorrow he practices English. Another day he practices chemistry. But when you now get to the exam hall, fatigue will now set in. By the time you write for 2 hours, you're like, someone wants to die here. Why? You need to practice the way you will fight. So if you have a fight tomorrow, don't be practicing as if you don't want to get it today. Do you understand that? You need to practice the exact way you want to what? Fight. I think JAMB started in 1978 or so. So what I did was, every Friday night, from like 10 p.m. to around 2 a.m., I will write one complete year. Just sitting down and writing it as stretch. Then I will mark it, go to the examples and everything. I will do that like 5 a.m. So imagine from 1978 to about 1999. So over a period of time, about 3 months to the final day, I was doing that. By the time I got to the exam hall, I was able to finish way ahead of time and still very refreshed. Why? Because I've already practiced the way I wanted to fight on that day. So when you are practicing for an event, is it a speaking engagement, anything in life, don't practice with 2+2 when you know that you will go and meet 2i raised to power 2 in front. Did you get me? Practice the way you fight. It should just be a choreography, the final day you want to actually display. It will become very easy. Okay? There are some reasons why people are not persistent, and I'll give you some of them. I won't give you reasons why you need to be persistent, but there are reasons why you are not persistent. A whole list of them, but just 3 for the sake of time. One is procrastination, with or without cause. I procrastinate, you procrastinate, everybody does. But why do you procrastinate? Because we are spending time on other irrelevant things. These days, social media, football, gist with colleagues and friends. The amount of time those things take from us is more than the amount of time that we are being serious. Another thing is self-satisfaction. And this can come in 2 ways. If you are excessively rich, and I don't mean money only, but money is number one, or you are excessively poor, you can go into a mood where I call self-satisfaction. Some of us professionals these days, what we struggle with is how to train our kids to be more resilient than we are. But how possible is that when we are giving them everything they need, consciously or unconsciously? It's not by our doing, but we just find out that we are giving it to them one way or the other. When you have a 15-year-old child that have never entered public bus, and you are not Dangote, what if you die tomorrow? How does he or she cope? So some of you, I know you come from wealthy homes, you probably attend private schools. There is a tendency that you might go into a self-satisfaction mode and say, my father will give me, my mother will get me a job. Things happen in life. How many successful men and women, past and present, have you seen that their offspring, their children, are greater than them? It's very simple. Most times the reason is self-satisfaction. They just feel, I have everything. But down the line, you will now see that the resultant effect is that they will usually do less than their parents. Sometimes way less. The same thing, if you are too poor, you might become overwhelmed at some point and say, you know what, this is the card life has handed over to me, and I'll just take it that way. I cannot come and go and kill myself. I'll just stop here. So you need a right amount of turbulence in your life. Not being too comfortable and not being extremely impoverished. So that you don't go into the mood of that self-satisfaction. We've seen people that became president of countries and you stop hearing them after a while. You know why? Because they believe that I take the peak of my career. Now I can go and rest. It's self-satisfaction. And you see people that it's after becoming the president of a nation that they even become more popular. Why? Because they know that at every time in their life, they need to be grateful for what God has done, but you must never be self-satisfied. From that point, the peak of your greatness will start declining. And it's not supposed to be that until the day God calls you home. Last but not the least on persistence is willingness to quit at the first sign of defeat. We all know Newton's laws of motion. It states what? You don't know it.
Every action.
For every action, there is an opposite reaction. So, you want to do well in life. You want to equip yourself for the future of work. What are you doing? You are pushing back on life. You are pushing back on the world. You are sending your own positive energy out there. Something somewhere is waiting to also what? Push back. And what happens? A lot of people will just say, this is enough, I can't do it. They go back into their comfort zone or go back into their shell. It will always happen. How many times have you planned something and it will go exactly the way you planned it? 99% of the time, it will not. Because everybody is releasing energy into the atmosphere around you. So things will always push back. Never ever quit, especially at the first sign of defeat. Because there is always a better way to do whatever you are doing or to achieve that goal. In the interest of time, let's move to discipline. You will ask yourself, why discipline of all the things that you can do to equip yourself for the future? It's very important, especially in this time and day, this era we are now. You see, motivation can get you going, but discipline is what gets you going. Our parents have tried their best to discipline us to an extent. Something happened to me recently. Today is Friday. On Monday, I went to where I grew up, my parents' place. And you know, when I got to some of my siblings still stayed there. When I got to the house, I saw that the atmosphere was kind of calm. What happened? One of the family around, those elder uncles around that will take care of you when you are growing up and show you some ways and direction. His son, 25-year-old, died. And the first question I asked, what happened to him? He's dead. A 25-year-old that doesn't have any history of ailment, or it's not as if that was an accident, cannot just die anywhere in the world. It doesn't happen. It's only old people that can say, oh, heart attack, high blood pressure. A 25-year-old cannot just not wake up. Guess what? By the next day, we got to realize that he has been doing yahoo. He has been taking drugs. This is someone that has graduated from pharmacy, has done his NYSC, and doing house match. You see, one thing I tell you guys this time and age is, anywhere in the world, a 25-year-old or less than that is still in school does not drive Mercedes-Benz anywhere in the world. Yes, you can ask my colleagues here, anywhere in the world. with your own money. It's not possible. It will be 1 out of tens of millions that could do that legitimately. There is time for everything. There is time for everything. These days I see some of you, male and female, with iPhone 16. I don't use one. I still use 13. I've been using phones since 2001. I can count the number of phones I've used since then. Before 13, I was using 5. That's a typical example of this. I can buy it over and over. Should I? Why should I? But all of us here, you want to use the 17 that is not even out. Those are the ways you must discipline yourself. Because if you don't, life will reward you negatively. Please, in whatever you do, never ever in your life do drugs. And if you're already doing it, seek professional help. Moving on. Abraham Lincoln says discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And there are some essential elements of discipline. One of them is avoiding temptations. Don't say, I will go with them, but when I get there, I will not join them. It's a lie. You will join them someday. If you know that it's that part that will probably make you start taking drugs, then never ever go to party. You will survive. All through my 5 years in school, not 5 years actually, 7 years because of strike, I only went to party once in my 400 level, and that's because my roommate was a DJ. I had to help him carry equipment. Today, I can party as I like. There's time for everything. You will not die. You will not die. It can only get better. So avoid temptations. Because these are things that will make life kind of bad for you. You can avoid it totally. Another thing you need to know is this. You need to know what triggers you. What actually triggers you? Today I don't drink anymore. But I've experienced it. Back when I was in my 2nd year in school, I started taking alcohol. Why? You must know how it feels now. Is that not it? If I ask you how many of you is drinking currently now, nobody will show hands. But we know. I started drinking 1 year, 2 years. After like 3 years, I was like, this thing is not even sweet. Well, you know the more reason why I stopped? I found out that there is no way I'll still take it and not be drunk. And when I'm drunk, I'll be saying something, I'll be like, Shopper, you're not supposed to say that to me. But you still say it. As in, your brain is going right, but you are going left. Why? Because you're under influence already. You are being triggered. So what are those things that triggers you? That triggers your discipline? Sometimes it's just friends. Even as an adult, there are a lot of friends I have cut from my life because I see that they are the ones that trigger me to behave in a certain way. So, drugs, alcohol, some relationships, they are the ones that makes you behave in a certain way. You need to find a way of what? Identifying your triggers and deal without them. These are things that can make you, that can give you better discipline. Practice mindfulness. What do I mean by practicing mindfulness? It means that once in a while, sit down, observe yourself, observe your environment. How am I doing so far? What do I need to do differently? What is happening around me? What are people doing? Have I missed anything? Just be mindful and conscious of what's going on around you. When I came in here this morning, there was nobody around. I just sat down there, just looking around, observing people how they are coming in. Why are we late? What's happening here? Collected my thoughts, then stood up and effect some changes. Always be mindful of your environment. I have about 5 minutes left. Another thing is positive attitude. Last but not the least, is that positive attitude may not improve the situation, but it certainly will not worsen it. So that's why you need to have positive attitude. Imagine this comic. He says, son, this was your first flight as a mosquito. How was that? Oh, wonderful, Papa. Everybody in the room was clapping for me. Fine, I call it ignorance. But a positive attitude might not make the situation better, but it certainly would worsen it. Owen Jackson says, when you can't change the direction of the wind, adjust your sails. It doesn't mean that you will land in that exact location you want to, but at least nothing will go wrong further from where you are. It will just make things, worst case scenario, stay the way it is. And how can you make sure that you have a positive attitude? One of them is establish your own positive mindset in advance. One of the things I do is this. Let's say, for instance, we are in Kano, and a receptionist at my hotel decides to talk to me anyhow. I will even say, sorry, ma'am. And I walk away. Why? In Yoruba, I call it Kamapademo. May we not meet again. Why should I be fighting a receptionist in Canada? There is a 99.99% chance that we will never ever meet again. But because you feel you have too much money, but because you feel, do you know who I am? You now start fighting with someone that you are not supposed to ever fight with. Every conductor you meet on the way, you are just wasting and losing your energy. Before you know, it becomes part and parcel of you, and the people that you will still meet tomorrow, you will fight them with the same energy. So you don't need to waste your time fighting people that you know there is a very high possibility that after now, I will even recognize you, won't recognize me. So those are one of the ways that you can establish your own positive mindset in advance. If not, it will follow you into the future and doesn't make you a better person. Look for the bright side in all situations. Whatever happens to you, there is always a silver lining. There was COVID. Some of you might be very young during COVID. A lot of us, we learned a lot of skills during COVID, despite it was COVID. We had time to spend with our family and loved ones. We had time to observe what we need to do differently. Some of us even learn a totally new trade. Some of us change job. If not for the world of IT and virtual presentations will not be this developed. So there is always a silver lining, and that's part of why you should develop one positive attitude. Because if you don't develop it, you won't see those silver linings. Last but not the least, your attitude is always a choice you can make. Anytime things go wrong, there's a difference between character and attitude. Character is what you will do before situations happen to you. Attitude is what you will choose to do after the situation has happened to you. So whenever someone angers you or something happens around you, even if it's the fraction of a second, you will ask yourself, make I answer this person. Make I no answer, I will answer you. Or just let him go. So you have that fraction of a second, sometimes a whole day, to look at your attitude and say, will I make this choice of answering this person or not? You have a lot of technical people here. I'm sure during the course of this event, we will take you to technical things you can do to equip yourself for the future of work. But sometimes these technical things are not just enough. Because as you know, life itself, before now, these principles were always there, whether it was taught or not, since the beginning of time. That is why I take time to talk to people about basic life principles that are staring right in front of us, but we may never see them because we are busy doing other things. In conclusion, I would like to let you know that by combining hard work, persistence, and discipline with a positive attitude, can effectively equip yourself for the future of work. Thank you for listening.
I think you enjoyed the panel session. Can you give an round of applause for the session? Okay, we're pressed for time, so we're just going to take 3 questions. Please come out. Your name, your university. Anybody from here? Anybody from there? Anybody from that row? Okay, the lady come out and come out. The 3 of you. And the last question come out, the 4 of you. Your name, please, straight to the point.
Thank you very much. My name is Ekpenyong from hosting chapter. So my question is in the assistant section. So I'm a recent graduate, which means I'm applying. So but the thing is, I've been applying for graduate internship, and this invitation email keeps coming. In fact, some are even waiting for me to press the send button. And the other thing I've learned is that you don't have to qualify for all the requirements for you to apply. But there's this certain one which is you must be like you must have completed NYC for most of them. So the thing at this point I'll stop. The nation email are just coming over and over again. So is it right for me to stop applying so that I'm just everything when I'm done with NYC? Or I should still keep the policy myself? And even though when I do that, there's this certain requirements that
Thanks. I want to take for that.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. My name is Racheal. I have a question concerning persistence. You mentioned that persistence is way better than consistence. And I want to ask that, is there a general for how long you should be persistent at something? Say, okay, you started out targeting to continue until you get result. But say after a while you realize that, oh, since this thing is not going to work, it's okay to just give up on it and give it totally. Or just keep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. My name is Robert from Petrology Institute. My question is to revolve. My question still revolves around persistence. You spoke about procrastination, and I believe everybody has this this attitude when we are close to deadline, right? We tend to procrastinate until the very last day. And one thing I've noticed about myself is that I can do things, but I have to do it under tension, like very high tension. So I tend to procrastinate until maybe a night before the deadline, and I will do it effectively, and it will still come out very well. So it's a pattern, I know, but how do we try to stop that? Even if I know I can work on that pressure very, very well. Thank you.
Good day, sir. My name is Yakubu Abubakar. I'm from ABU Zaria. So that's a nice presentation. I actually feel like you're talking directly to me. So I'm talking from, let's say, perspective of, let's say, an artist, you understand? When you talk about discipline section, you said avoid temptation. Actually, it was easier to say, I want to avoid temptation. But you know, like implementing it is not an easy thing. So is there any, let's say, strategy that, let's say, you can brief us on how to, let's say, avoid temptation? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I will attempt to answer all of you at once. In case I'm done and I didn't answer any of those questions, you can please meet me after the event or anywhere you see me around today, tomorrow. So the first one was trying to apply for things and get rejected. Where is that guy? Between you and I, if you start counting, I'm sure I've got more rejection in the past 2 years than you. I'm not kidding. One, there are some things, when it comes to qualification, there are some strong rules. I'll give you an example. I work for ExxonMobil. You don't have a 2-1 or first class. It's a hard rule. Don't bother applying. NYSC, for every professional, when I say professional, I don't mean XYZ, like professional company, standard company in this country. No NYC, no employment. Yes, except it's one XYZ. You know, he wants his own company. But why don't you volunteer? I bet you there is no work you are looking for today that you cannot apply that knowledge in SP. That you cannot apply in Maths for Life. So that the day you finally get that acceptance, you can display yourself. Not only that, look for people here, they are owners of company here, that you can intern under them for free, that you can be their technical assistants and apply so that the day you will get accepted, which you will anyways, you are better equipped to display all those skills. Because whatever you are learning is different from reality when you start applying it. And the earlier you start applying, the better. If not, you even forget what you learned, okay? Secondly, you have persistent. How long do you need to be persistent for? If you are going in the wrong direction, the earlier you turn back, the better. If not, it will take you longer to arrive at the right destination. But before you know whether you are on the right path or not, you need to have asked yourself, have I done every other thing I need to do? Because of my speaking, I spoke about people writing down for 7 times. If you ask a lot of them, they will say, yes, I'm trying. But really ask yourself, can you tell yourself in that thing you are failing in that I am trying, or I have tried every idea that I have conceived on this? Until you get to that point, don't turn back. Until you can answer yourself that yes, see, ideas are God-given. No matter your problem, ideas will always come to your mind, whether you are Muslim, Christian, or as long as you're a human being. Have you tried and execute all those ideas that you have in that particular direction or goal you are pursuing? Until you're able to do that, I would say don't turn back. But if you have got to a point where you have executed everything and all that is left is okay, right now I have to turn back. Okay, then you can start turning back. Look at everything around you. The light you see today, someone said this thing. History says he tried 1,000 experiments. I wasn't there. Is it 10,000 experiments? For someone to try 10,000 experiments, you can imagine. If you like the people we have today, Elon Musk and the likes. I remember the first time he was launching a space shuttle. I was watching his live. What happened? Exploded. Just like that, in a particular life, billions of dollars just gone. Does that mean he should stop? The reason why he didn't stop is because he knew that he has not tried everything he's supposed to try. So try everything before you say you want to quit. Procrastination and energy level under pressure. Okay, I agree it's true. In fact, I be master. If I tell you that the presentation you are seeing today, I put together yesterday night. Won't believe me. Again, I said procrastination with or without cause. We are all guilty. I am not a saint. But the problem is this: no matter how good you think it came out, it will have come out much more better if you've done it 2 months ago. Ideally, I prepare my slides 2 to 3 months in advance, which is what typically takes me to accept a speaking engagement. Then a month after, I go check it again, then leave it again for another 2 weeks so that I know that I've forgotten part of it and look at it with another cold eye. The reason why you don't wait till last minute is what if? What if you become sick? What if there is no light? What if an emergency happened? And it will surely happen someday. Then you miss your deadline. Then it becomes a die not. There is adrenaline in every one of us that the moment you hear MD wants to see you tomorrow. I'm sure my colleagues know. Coffee, everything. It comes in. But you'll see mistakes. If you audit yourself, like, I've done that better. Oh, I didn't see that line. So try as much as possible. Discipline yourself. The moment you know, start going at it bit by bit. 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. Collect your thoughts, write it down. Even if it's just one thing every day. At least one good thing I did right about this presentation is, as I go through my day, since the day I sent roommate the topic, I started jotting things down. Okay, this came to me, jot it down. This came to me, jot it down. At least I've done some stuff. So it's just making the presentation itself. So try as much as possible. Look at it bit by bit. Lastly, how do you avoid temptation? If I get this right. So there will always be temptation, but it's part of you having that self-awareness and asking yourself, what do I really want my 10 years, 5 years from now to look like? This is how I want it to look like. This thing I'm about to go and do, will it help me? If the answer is yes, go. If it's no, ask yourself again. But one of the things that you can do, which I do differently, is have people that you know that are good in that area. You see, it's not all our politicians that are thieves, that thieves money. Some, their problem is humanizing. Some is backbiting. Some is just making sure that nobody ever gets that position. So when you have a vice that you are trying to overcome, look for someone that have that virtue, that he can do it easily, and learn from them. We all have our bad side, but to overcome it, the easiest one is move with a set of people that vice become. If you tell some people why do they steal, they cannot help it, and some people like, why should I steal? So try as much as possible, look for people that have a complementary virtue that they can help you out of that temptation easily, avoiding it. In this stretch of time, we've already spent another 1 hour and like 3 minutes. I would like to stop here. You have my contact shown here, and of course, I have my WhatsApp group there for becoming the best version of you. This is the 6th year that we have been doing this every year, so that's why it's 6.0, and we'll do this every year to help you becoming a better version of you. For this year, what I do is every Saturday, every first Saturday of the month, this month will be second Saturday, I do like a 1 hour training, 8 a.m. in the morning. A lot of you here join me, and professionals also join. So try and stay tuned so that we can continue to help each other to become the best version of us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Can you keep celebrating? Phenomenal. You want to do what? You want to get a slide meeting privately and discuss that. Please let's give him another round of applause, please. So while he was speaking, we had some of our leaders in SPE join. Please, when I recognize them, you just give them a round of applause. We acknowledge the presence of the Vice Council Chairman of SPE Nigeria, Mrs. Francis Ugochi. A warm welcome to you, sir. We also have the SPE BOT member and immediate past ALD, of course the Mystic Gas Business Lead, Enlightened Africa Energy, Mrs. Ogogo Ekpenyong. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. I just saw our ALD at the back, Dr. Riverson Oppong at the back. A warm welcome to you, sir. And a former section of SPEC, we see Mr. Engineer Daniel Labia at the back. A warm welcome to you, sir. A sponsor that just joined, the sponsor from yesterday's event from Ekpenyong, Dr. Victor Ekpenyong. Warm welcome to you, sir. That's the sponsor. Thank you so much, sir, for being part of us. We also celebrate and welcome the Port Harcourt section chair, Sir Abiye Pedro. A warm welcome to you, sir. Nice to see you, sir. We acknowledge the presence of the former HOD from Bayes University and the former treasurer of SPE Abuja section, Engineer Shedrack Ogiriki in front. Warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you so much sir, for joining us. We have the SPENC Accommodation and Logistics Chair, Engineer Isemi. One welcome to you, sir. I guess you stepped out. Okay. Also in the building is the Policy Manager for Methane Pollution Prevention in Africa, Clean Air Task Force, Dr. Mohammed Dahiru Aminu. One welcome to you, sir. Pleased to have you here. Also, we have Gordon University, UK, Dr. Racheal Adedokun. One welcome to you, ma'am. We acknowledge your presence. We also have the Business Development Manager, SPE Africa Limited, Onome Jonathan Olabutimi here with us. One welcome to you, ma'am. We acknowledge the presence of the Senior Manager, Asset Integrity Management of NEPLC, Engineer Albert Echibe. One welcome to you, sir. We celebrate you. Thank you. And of course, the last but not the least, we have the MD CEO of Right Click IT Solutions, Naima Sulaiman Ilu. One welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we switch gears immediately to the very next professional session. Of course, this professional session will be taken by our immediate past ARD, the theme, the Energy Innovators Toolkit. The Energy Innovators Toolkit. Of course, our ARD has served with distinction as the immediate past African Regional Director of SPE Africa and continues to shape the future of energy as a board of trustee member of SPE Nigeria Council. Currently, she leads the domestic gas business as Renaissance Africa Energy, where her work is helping redefine access and utilization of gas resources on the continent. Of course, today she brings her wealth of experience, insights, and innovation spirit to this special session titled The Energy Innovators Toolkit. So whether you are a budding professional or a seasoned leader, prepared to be inspired, challenged, and equipped. Of course, you have the opportunity to ask her questions after her 30 minutes presentation. Please help me celebrate Mrs. Ogogo Ekpenyong as she comes for her presentation. Keep celebrating her. If she inspires you, keep clapping those hands for her. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So, I'm very happy to be here today. This is my first time in Kano. So I'm excited. I had quite a number of my mentees were also students from here. They've all graduated now, I'm sure. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I have learned in, it says 22 years, actually 25 years. I was just thinking about it, that I graduated from University of Benin in 1999. And I'm 2025. So I was like, wow. You know, so I'm going to be sharing some things. The society and many things have changed, but there are some things that are still the same way they were. So, and I'm going to share some things with you, and I hope it helps. We've read my introduction already, but I wanted to just underscore the fact that I studied geology from the University of Benin. Then Unibet here. Unibest. Great Unibet. So, so I studied at University of Benin, and then after I left University of Benin, I did like a short, low-paying job with, you know, in a company. And that's also always a thing. I think one of your colleagues talked about being rejected. Sometimes we also despise humble beginnings. I actually started a very low-paying job, low-paying, low-skill job, and I did that for almost a year. And it was after that I got my chance to work in a servicing company. And then after the servicing company, then I joined Shell, and I've been in Shell for quite some time now. But let's also be clear that even in all of those times, I've never stopped thinking about what to do with my career, what to do with myself. And every time I'm there has been a choice to remain where I am, waiting for when I can then make a different change. And I should take you through that in a minute. So why does this talk matter? It's interesting that my colleague Tope talked about a few of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today. As a university student, you are learning a lot of technical things. You are getting the foundation of for your career, your future career, and your experience. But when we talk about the future of energy, it is not just those knowledge that you need. There are certain behavioral things that you need. There are certain skills that you need that you may not learn in the course of your university career. You have to learn them. And that's why I said I'm going to share with you what I have learned, and I probably learned it the hard way. Innovation is more about, it's not just tech. When we think about innovation, we say it's tech. But there's tech, and there's talent, and then there's transformation. And that's really what innovation is about. So I will share these things with you. And I'll also say that one of the first realizations that it's not only about your knowledge, my colleague talked about, and he's right, when you apply to an oil company, you have to start off with first class or 2-1 first. Even 2-1 these days is becoming difficult, but first class or 2-1 first. That's like the basic bottom line. But then Shell, back in the day, and I'm sure even until now, Shell goes a step further to say, we want to know about your capacity, achievement, and relationships. CAR. Why? Because they recognize that it's not just about, I had a first class, I have a 2-1. Capacity, how wide can you think? Achievements, what have you actually done beyond the thing that you have been given? And relationships, how have you related with the people that you do these things to? 3 things: capacity, achievement, relationships. So even as far back as then, I realized that just having first class or 2-1 in a course or whatever is not enough. Now I'm going to share you a few things that I've learned. Some textbooks mean that it's less about all these very technical things. Yes, it's good to have the foundation, don't get me wrong, right? It's good to have the foundation, it's good to know the first principles. Many times we're so quick to jump to technological solutions. I mean, I've seen a couple of students who tell me, you know, why do I need to spend so many hours doing complex calculations when I can press a button in a machine and it gives me a result? And my question to him was, yeah, but how do you know that result is correct? Because it's done by a machine doesn't mean that it's correct. For the longest time, ChatGPT didn't know how to spell strawberry. I don't know if you knew that. I use ChatGPT a lot, by the way. So even the tech, of course, now they've fixed the bug and it's been fixed and it works now. But I'm just saying that you need to understand first principles to be able to query a solution that you get from a machine or an algorithm. That is your critical thinking. So those are things that you may not miss. You may not see in the textbook, or you may not see online, or you may not see with the technology. So I'm going to learn to share with you these 5 things. These 5 things that I have picked up over the years and have been extremely useful to me. Number 1 is decision quality. Now it's very tiny here, but you can Google it later to talk about the decision quality wheel, or what is decision quality. Essentially, as a critical thinking individual, you have to be able to make good quality decisions that are devoid of your own personal bias. Right? Many times you start off by making a decision, but it's emotional and it's biased, and you already kind of have an idea and so on and so forth. But you need to be able to really query yourself using a method that helps you find, really come down to some clear answers. And you get better with practice. So we'll talk about decision quality, right? You can look it up later. But essentially it has these 6 elements. It has the 6 elements there, which is the frame. What solution am I trying to find? What are the choices do I have? I always tell my children, by the way, I have 2 children, I have 2 sons who are also in university. And I always try to ask them, what are your alternatives? They want to do this. What are these? What's the alternative? And then you have to be able to weigh those 2 alternatives. So that's why I said that even my choice to stay in my current career was a choice. I don't like being in any situation where I can't make a choice about my own self. Everything is intentional because you have to live with intentionality. The second wheel there, so I'm going in from the top. I don't know if I'm pressing the right button here. Yes, so this is the first one, that's the appropriate frame. It goes down to the alternatives. What alternatives do you have? What information are you using? Many times we're making decisions with flawed data. Is the data set correct? Or what is the level of accuracy of the data that you are looking for? And then clear values and trade-offs. If I do this, what am I missing out? What's the opportunity? Because what am I going to miss? If I do the other thing, what am I going to miss? Sometimes, my former boss would say, you are majoring in minor. There are times when you are using 100 to chase 2. Meanwhile, you can use 1 to chase that same 2. So you have to understand what are the trade-offs. What are you trading off for this decision? Then you talk about logically correct reasoning. If you remove emotions out, really and truly, does this thing really make sense? That's what that is. And then you talk about commitment to action, because everything we're talking about is about making a decision, it's about taking the next step. A lot of people come to me to say, Ma, please, I need to upskill. I need to learn a new skill. I need to. And I'm like, okay, fine. Have you done the research? Have you done it? But then you spend a lot of time. I don't know about, maybe my colleagues may have a different experience. I spend a lot of my time coaching people. And I get frustrated when they don't take action. Because the whole essence of all your knowledge here is for you to take the right actions. Now, you have to be able to debias your decisions and then think beyond the data that you have. Sometimes you don't have all the information, but you need to still make a decision. The second thing I've learned is about stakeholder management. And when I talk about stakeholder management, please don't have it in your mind that I'm talking about, I'm only talking about, the government and the joint venture partners and so on. Children are my stakeholder. My husband is my stakeholder. So even when their decisions are made to be here today, for example, there are people that I had to tell them that I'm not going to be around. I'm going to Kano. Of course, they're like, what are you doing in Kano? You're always traveling. You're always going up and down. This SPE itself, they don't do that anymore because they really grew up with me being in SPE. So now when I say it's SPE, they're like, oh, okay, SPE again. So those are my stakeholders, right? But of course, in the job front, my boss is my stakeholder, my colleagues are my stakeholders, of course, and then you then go externally. When you work in the industry, the communities are your stakeholders, the regulators are your stakeholders. But many times you might miss who the real stakeholder is for certain decisions. You might miss it, okay? So you need to be able to have solutions for the people that you are engaging with. Energy is people-centered. And of course, you must need to be able to communicate. The way I'm communicating with you today is maybe not the same way I'm going to communicate if I was talking to communities, for example, or talking to any other different audience. So communication has to be your superpower. Visual communications like this, being able to put slides together to convey a message, and then being able to communicate effectively like this. That is something that you can learn. And I like the fact that my colleague talked about how he practiced over the years to be able to speak in public. There was a time in my life, doing what I'm doing right now, I would have turned into a bucket of water. I would have just melted to come and stand in front of people and talk. I would have melted immediately. But over time, I've developed that skill of public speaking, and that's one thing that you should be able to do as well. Strategic thinking is number 3. We talked about decisions, I've talked about stakeholders, but you need to also, when you're given a task, you need to also ask yourself, what is the mission? There's a case study that I read some years ago. The case study was, there was a contract to build a pipeline. 3 contractors were given the contract. One of them's contract was to deliver the pipeline. The other one's contract was to dig the trench. The third one was to bury the pipeline, was to cover the trench. Now, because of miscommunication, lack of communication, the first contractor went there and dug the trench. The contractor that's supposed to bury the trench came and covered the trench. Then the one that came supposed to deliver the pipeline came and dropped the pipeline. If you ask all of them, they've done their work. Right? Did you deliver the pipeline? Yes. Did you dig the trench? Yes. Did you bury the trench? Yes. Ultimately, did that project fail or did it succeed? Correct. Because nobody was thinking about the mission. They were thinking about the tactics, the actions. So whenever you are doing something, always think, take yourself up a little bit and say, okay, what are we trying to achieve here? What problem are we trying to solve? So you have your degrees, but apart from just having an engineering solution, think about the business reason why you are doing this. Resilience and adaptability. You really can't go very far in this industry without being resilient. I like the fact that my colleague talked about being rejected, and then the other gentleman talked about, you know, how do I continue being rejected? If I had this conversation with my son last week, same thing. He was looking for internship roles and he was getting rejected. And he was like, you know, exactly as your colleague just said, he was feeling very frustrated about it. And I said, son, get used to it. Get used to it. You'll be rejected. Of course, when you expect that they'll just go and golden boy. They just see you, they just say, ah, this is the my son. I said, my dear, more will still come, safe. So just get used to it. Even I, with all my experience and expertise and I do get rejected. But at times when I want to do certain things, and at times I'm like, sorry, no. So you need to get used to it. But then the second step of it is, instead of getting frustrated and discouraged by it, use it to fuel you yourself. Channel it into action. That is why you have to learn how to recover, to reflect, and then to reinvent. So sometimes I ask myself, come, won't I go back to school soon? Happy? I think about it. Shouldn't I go back to school? Shouldn't I retool myself? Are there new things I can learn after 25 years? Can I go back to, you know, right now it's adult education really, in my case. Can I do that? Do I even have what it takes again to compete with the likes of you in an academic environment? I have to ask, because I have to be able to be willing to look at all opportunities, not just one or two. All opportunities. The same thing I will urge you, it's a lifelong learning. Because every change gives you opportunities. So don't be too discouraged about change when things change. I've seen projects fail. I've seen fantastic people getting burnt out and getting frustrated and leaving their jobs. I've seen my team, the team that I worked with an amazing team. And then the team was disbanded. Some people resigned, some people changed jobs, and it was really discouraging. Of course, you're going to encounter those kind of things as you go on. But the key here is for you to be able to use that to channel yourself forward. Lastly is value and risk management. Now, these are all things that you can go back and do your own research, learn more about it, and then you can apply to yourself. Value and risk, and again, just caveat, because this is the last bit before I go into a couple more slides. When it comes to value, don't confuse value and cost together. They're not the same thing, okay? So ask yourself, what am I getting for what I'm doing? Risk management is really, what are the downsides to this action I'm about to take? And then, of course, think about what is critical for you for your success. So these are all general things that I have learned over the years and it has helped me. So for you, the advice that I have is build your own toolkit and start now. Don't wait until graduation, don't wait until NYSC, start now. Join cross-functional teams. Like I said, I'm a geologist, but I have a place in SPE, and that's what I like about SPE. There's a place for almost everybody in SPE. Once you are affiliated with the oil and gas industry. I'm a geologist, and there are many of my colleagues who had, you know, degrees in technical safety or accounting or economics and so on and so forth. But because of their affiliation with the oil and gas industry, they are part of SPE. So join cross-functional teams. Look at Petrobro, look at SPE. Volunteer, spend your time wisely. Look for people who are outside of your discipline. So when you're trying to achieve something, look for people who are for and against, or people who are similar and people who are different. Because when you have that breadth of information, then you can make better decisions. In your leadership roles, whether it's as a student leader, or a volunteer leader, or a community leader, take initiative, right? Take initiative, start things by yourself, and see them through to completion. And in every situation you find yourself, ask yourself, what have I learned? Because no matter how easy or how difficult it is, there's always something to learn. There's always something to learn. I always ask myself, am I learning what to do, or am I learning what not to do? So there are situations where I was like, yeah, that's an example of what not to do. Right? So you're always learning something. Be deliberate about what you're learning. And of course, this is the last slide. Don't forget too that you have the benefit of being the future of tomorrow. It may be difficult for you to see that or feel it, but it's the truth. I'm closer to retirement than many of you. So you do have time on your side, but you don't have that much time. Because I remember sitting down there, it's just like it was just a few years ago, when I calculated the time and I realized that, yeah, it's a long time ago. So you are the future of tomorrow. And people, the world needs you, Nigeria needs you. Nigeria needs your talent, needs your dedication, and needs your capability. These skills and all other skills that you learned today will set you apart. If there's any doubt in your mind, just know that you are in the right place today. You are where you are supposed to be today. You've made that right decision for yourself to be here today. So, your journey starts now. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Is that applause befitting enough to our amazing speaker? So we need just 2 people to ask questions. The others, we have to meet her privately for the questions. 2 people. Who want to ask questions? It's first hand up. Okay, come out. And please come, 2 of you. Your name, your university, your question. 2 of you. Oh, you don't raise your hand up. Who else wants to ask? Just 2 people. Okay, please come.
Okay, good evening. My name is President Engr. I'm from the University of Port Harcourt. So my question is, in 5 steps, how are you going to build yourself in a challenging industry such as this? Because I know that 1999 and now is far different, and then coming from something that's not petroleum, let's say petroleum engineering core, and then being a geologist, how are you able to do it in 5 steps, and how are you able to get there?
Good morning, and thank you for your presentation. My name is Abdulsalam Ojoshua Madejo. I'm a final year student of chemical engineering. Mine is more of a request than a question. We have talked about points for innovators or toolkits that we can use to build ourselves, and among those, one of the points that stands out to me is seeking mentors outside your discipline. So because I might not have this opportunity again, I want to openly request that I can get that mentorship from you, ma'am.
Shoot yourself. So I'm taking initiative. Does he have 2 heads? So it's fine, that's an easy question to answer. We can see after the session, okay? Thank you for that. So how did I build myself? Now, as a geologist, right? Geologists really at the heart of the oil and gas industry. So it's the geologists that really do the earth interpretation and then tell you, go and drill here. That's really the job of a geologist. So we are part of the petroleum engineering group of disciplines. The way Shell does it, there's petroleum engineering, and under petroleum engineering is geology, and then you have the exploration, and then you have petrophysics, and so on and so forth. So many companies see geosciences as part of that integral development subsurface skill pool. So as a person, the first thing I did was, like you rightly said, studied in geology in university. And what I studied in the university was not exactly what I did in the industry. Because in the university, it was a wide range of things that I learned. But then in the industry, in the industry I learned, what I did was actually quite narrow to petroleum geology. As a geologist, there's hydrogeology, there's chemical geology, there's geotectonics, and mineralogy, and so on and so on. So I learned all of those things in 4 years. Then come out into the workforce, and then you then find out that we're only focused on petroleum geology. Not only petroleum geology, but deep water. So that was again a kind of specialization. So it's about training, it's about self-learning. If I had even get the job, I was reading a book on seismic interpretation. Somebody walked past me, didn't know I was a geologist. Somebody walked past me like this. Somebody reading the book, came back, said, "You're a geologist?" I said, "Yes." "Do you know Shell is even hiring people like you?" I said, "No, I didn't know." "It's okay, they have it online." And then the guy walks off. And that was it. That was it. He didn't, that was it. A minute conversation, that was it. And I went, I applied, I was called for an interview, and I got the job. So it was because of almost like self-development. I didn't wait for anybody to train me. I wasn't a member of SPE. It was when I joined Shell that I became a member of SPE, right? So self-development, watching the trends. I talked about ChatGPT just now. Right now, I can hardly do many things without ChatGPT. Understanding what the trends are, learning the technology, and then being present. One last thing I would say, right, is that I've also never shied away from responsibility or from a challenge. That is how I actually joined SPE. I joined as a volunteer, and then whenever any opportunity comes up, I would always raise up my hand and say, I want to be part of it, I want to support. I didn't wait for them. So typically what people do is, they join SPE, they pay their dues, and they're like, I'm here, when they are ready, they will let me know. And then that's how your membership will just elapse. Because nobody has time to come and be looking for you. You join SPE, then you come out and join them, be there. When you are there, then you can say, I'm here. Then they say, okay, do this. You do it well, you come back again. And I'm extremely persistent, and I'm extremely tenacious. And those are things that have led me to what I am today. It's a difficult question to answer, but it's an easy question to answer. Because many of these things are things that you can learn. It has nothing to do with what I learned or whatever. There are things that are personal traits to me that you can also learn and apply. Persistence, hard work, self-learning, lifelong development, networking, standing up to be counted, volunteering, whether it's in the office, whether it's in the SPE or wherever, and just being standing up. So I hope that helps. I'm still around for the rest of the day. Happy to take any other questions or comments or any other discussions that you may have. So thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Please keep celebrating her, amazing one. One key takeaway, may you be at the right place at the right time. May you also be doing the right thing at the right time. And may you also meet people that will help and champion your career to greater heights at the right time. May the Almighty keep helping you. So what she did, she was just reading her book, and then somebody came from nowhere, and then the story continues. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, can you celebrate our amazing Up next to the panel session, but right while they are trying to arrange a seat, we'll have a remark by one of our leaders. Oh, Engineer Semin has come in again, celebrate him, sir. We acknowledge your presence once again, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Engineer Semin says he doesn't want that he has a new car. So what's your name now, Ikadu?
I used to tell him that I wash the car every day. And then he comes some days and says, but Dad, you didn't use the car at all yesterday. I said, I know, but you still have to wash the car. Why? Because you will get to work some days and there won't be something to do, or things are not going to be the same, but you still have to do the work. You have to get up in the morning and go to work, whether you like it or not, whatever the situation. It's discipline. The same thing when I tell them about sitting down to read at night. 8 p.m. on the dot, you must be on that dining table to read till 10 p.m. It's discipline.
Okay, good day everyone. My name is Yakubu Abubakar. I'm from AB. I would like to highlight on what Ms. Ekpenyong said, our immediate past regional director. I was meant to memorize and then we go to learn the person behind. Thank you, ma. That's a wonderful presentation. Okay, from your abbreviation, you mentioned CAR, capacity, achievement, and
what you plan to do after the conference, not what she said.
Yes. So on the capacity basis, I'm doing wonderfully, and then on the achievement, I'm pushing it. So what I want to do now is I want to invest heavily in the relationship part. I'm a person that, let's say, isolate myself. So I'm trying to see I break that chain. You understand? So I consider taking her as my first mentee in my life.
I only asked for 3 people though. Come of time, I don't know whether the timekeepers, are we going to, I thought the one, but okay, 1 million ahead. I want to make sure that at least I'm not the one. So go ahead.
Good day everyone. I'm by the name Aminu from University Ghana. So what I'm going to take home from this conference is having a plan after this conference. After having the plan, I'm going to set my goals, pursue my goals to the last destination where I want them to be. So regardless of any hindrance, because sincerely speaking, in summary, I'm motivated and I want to be.
Excellent. You've helped me. I will jump to one thing I wanted to say because of what you said. Whenever I come for an event like this, I divide my paper into like 2. On the right side is what I call a PAP. It's called a personal action plan. I begin to write what I'm going to do after the conference. If I go for a training on reservoir engineering, I said, okay, they taught us that, oh, there's a new model we used to use to simulate, and then, okay, there's a new model here. When I get back to the office, that my model, I'm going to change it and do this. That is my personal action plan. I want to encourage you, everyone here should have a personal action plan note that you will take away from here. Ensure you have that.
Thank you so much, sir. So, my name is John Alex, and I'm from Engr. I appreciate this, the whole session that has been happening since yesterday. It's been enlightening. And thank you so much that I plan to actually, run my startup to actually expand down to the oil and gas industry to help, reinvent the wheels of the things that have been done, literally making life easier from the perspective of making the workforce of tomorrow more cycle thing. And thank you so much, Mark, for the scope about the thing about innovation, where you talked about transformation, talent, and also trying to make it a vast thing within your environment, within a toolkit. I saw it as a perspective for me myself to leave my comfort zone, my shell itself, and try to do something worthwhile, and not just really depend on wanting to be in the oil industry, but also contribute. All right, so a greater aspect. Thank you so much.
Excellent comments. There's something that I don't know if you caught that I heard him say. It's about. I mentioned yesterday about transition trends and everything. I can hear him saying something about he's not looking and waiting for a job. He's going to evolve and do something and create something new. That's a mindset you have to have in these times.
Okay, thank you everyone. My name is George Temitope. I'm currently the River State University Chapter President. Since I'm going to learn, I'm going to improve in my public speaking. I'm also going to learn my skills.
Excellent. I'll encourage you to meet Tope to find out courses to go to learn public speaking, because they're very important.
Thank you, sir. My name is Racheal Adedokun from the University of Ekpenyong. After a lot of learned from this program, this conference, I want to make sure that by the next time my university chapter is going to be more than this. I don't want this to end with me. I want other students from other department, engineering, mechanical engineering, to come and learn how to come and learn. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So basically, you've seen summaries of everything I wanted to really say. All I would say is that I want to make sure that you leave here with something. It's so important. It's so important. Maybe you heard me say that I usually like to preach and not teach, because what I want to make sure that somebody leaves with something. I will tell you this with the way I look at it. I can't travel all the way down here and live the same. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. Just come, have fun, meet a few students, maybe get one boyfriend or girlfriend here and go home. I'm glad you said that, because that's what some people may just think it's all about. But I can assure you that what you've heard in this place and what you are going to still hear in this place can transform your life forever. Can transform your life forever. These little nuggets that you hear that look like they're simple nuggets, they are life transforming nuggets. So I'll just encourage you, as you continue listening, as you listen to the panel sessions, wonderful panelists, I know most of them, very intelligent people, very brilliant, they've done great things in their industries. Do not take it lightly, build from it. So I encourage you also with SPE, continue to get involved in SPE, continue to volunteer, and continue to spread the word. We're really happy to come to the north, so please also spread this across the north too, that getting involved in SPE can do a lot for your career. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. So please, you want to present some awards coming down here. You just stand here. The first award presentation, like a thank you souvenir, would be presented to our former ARD, Mrs. Ogogo. If you celebrate her, she comes forward to receive the very first. Thank you for speaking. Yes. Down. Just take it from there. Photographer would like you to take amazing snapshots. We also like to call on Engineer Temitope Ugochi. I meant to understand his personal assistant is also still around. His PA will come get the award for him. We recognize the presence of the Managing Director of Pekis Global Services. Celebrate them, please. Thank you. Thank you so much for availing your time to speak to students. Can you give them another round of applause? We recognize the presence of the Managing Director of Pekis Global Service Limited, of course the Programs Chair of SPE Protocol Section Engineer, Dr. Ekpenyong in the building. Warm welcome to you, sir. We acknowledge your presence. We also celebrate the Faculty Advisor for SPE Award, Engineer Adebayo. Warm welcome to you, sir. Amazing to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are switching gears to the panel session. We have amazing speakers who have a combined experience of over 130 years. There's so much to them. Can you give them a round of applause? So I am not going to be calling them all. I'm just going to call the moderator. The moderator will do justice on bringing all of the amazing panelists on board. Again, you have the opportunity to ask questions, and when you hear their name, quickly run to LinkedIn, search for their profiles, add them up. So let me give you the first name you should search on LinkedIn for. The first name on LinkedIn you are supposed to search for is that of the moderator, Dr. Racheal Adedokun. On her profile, you see Robert Gordon University. Can you celebrate her, please? Of course, her profile, she's a lecturer at Robert Gordon University of the United Kingdom, specializing in organizational strategy, renewable energy management, and energy policy, with a PhD in management focused on strategic planning and energy transitions, an MBA, and a bachelor's in accounting. She brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to today's conversation. Beyond academia, she has led and contributed to funded projects with the British Council, ESRC, and ECITB, making impactful contributions to the fields of renewable energy, sustainability, governance, and strategy. She has also mentored and supervised students across different levels, shaping the next generation of energy leaders. Of course, as our moderator for today, she brings her expertise and engaging style, which will guide us through insightful discussion. I beg your pardon, I've just been informed that I read the profile of somebody else who is not actually the moderator. I beg your pardon. Amazing. But let's celebrate Dr. Robert. Okay. The moderator, okay, is no other, what's happening now, than, she just whispered that he has sent it me on WhatsApp. Kindly give me a few seconds to go to the profile. Of course, like I said earlier on, they have a combined experience of over 130 years. And this gentleman or lady would be doing justice as the moderator. Okay, you've seen it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the profile of the moderator. Okay, I'm just meant to understand that I will just call her name, but she's going to do an amazing as a moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, she's the Business Development Manager at Cypher Crescent Limited. Her name, Onome Jonathan Olaruti. Where is she? Ladies and gentlemen, please keep celebrating her. I think I saw her yesterday and still today. Phenomenal, phenomenal. For the next few minutes, she will do justice as the five. Can you celebrate your moderator, please? The middle one.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very, very excited. I mean, it's really beautiful. Please, a round of applause for ourselves. Thank you, everyone, once again. I think the event started on a very, very high note, and I'm really excited, and I think we've gotten to the peak of the event. But before I proceed, I would like to stand on the existing protocols and high regards to all the executives of SPE, the Council Chair, African, and beyond. I say welcome to you all and greetings to you. And then to my honorable panelists, I look forward to the insights that will be shared. And to all the great African students, give it up to yourself. Welcome, thank you. And for those here in Nigeria, it's a beautiful place in Kano. I think it's my first time too. And yes, thank you very much for having us. Thank you for hosting us. And we think we're going to do justice to this because the main objective of this is to ensure that we share information that will make us the best workforce for the energy force of tomorrow. So, and you're going to be hearing from different people from their vast experience, and we'll make the best use of it. So, but before I go on into details of today's event, I would like to share a brief background as I call on my panelists, and I will request that the media please share their profiles, and then we call them up on stage. Thank you. Okay, yeah, so I'll be starting with Dr. Mohamed Aminu. Yeah, please allow me to change position. Okay, so Dr. Mohamed Dahiru Aminu is a policy manager for Methane Pollution Prevention at Clean Air Task Force. He's also a leading advocate for environment sustainability. Dr. Aminu drives regulations to reduce methane emissions with expertise in carbon capture and storage. He is recognized globally. So, so next is Engineer Albert. Yeah, my friend as well. Good to have you. So Engineer Albert Echibe is the Senior Manager of the Asset Integrity Management Unit of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission in Abuja. With over 3 decades of experience in the oil and gas sector, Engineer Albert Echibe leverages his expertise in engineering, project management, and regulatory compliance to drive operational excellence and mentor the next generation of engineers. Welcome, Engineer Echibe. Okay, so next, our SPE Regional Director. A round of applause first. So Dr. Riverson Oppong is the SPE Regional Director. He's an experienced oil and gas business analyst. He has a solid technical and commercial knowledge in oil and gas field development and portfolio management. He is heavily involved in the day-to-day interpretation of value creation potential oil and gas businesses. This is just a very brief summary. But way bigger than this. Okay, is Dr. Riverson here? Nice to have you. Thank you. So next is our MD CEO of Ekpenyong International. Dr. Victor Ekpenyong is the CEO of Ekpenyong International, West Africa with 50 years of experience in drilling, completion and well control. He has led global projects for both international and local oil companies. He is a graduate of top institutions like Oxford, Harvard, and the combined problem-solving and mentorship skills. Three is Victor. Through this Victor and Helen Foundation, he supports education and community development. Dr. Ekpenyong's achievements include a PhD, multiple awards from the United Nations, and recognition for his contributions to the energy sector. And he is also a sponsor of this event. Thank you. Okay, so next on my list is Mrs. Naima. Mrs. Naima Sulaiman Ilu is the Managing Director, CEO of the Technical Advisor Stanford Seed Transformation Program. She's an exceptional technology leader with over 15 years of experience. Naima is the Managing Director of Racheal IT Solutions and Services. She drives digital transformation and innovation. She also serves as a technical advisor at Penn Promise Ventures, currently part of the Stanford Seed Transformation Program. Naima is a Cisco certified international expert and a process certified in change management. She's a mentor and speaker, and she actively contributes to Africa's tech ecosystem through initiatives like NAMA, NewG, and the Northern Founders Company. Naima, nice to have you. You're welcome. Last but not the least, she has been introduced earlier, so I'll do that again as a panelist. Dr. Racheal Adedokun, the lecturer in specializing in organizational strategy, renewable energy management, and energy policy. An exceptional academic and industry professional, she holds a PhD in management, specializing in strategic planning and energy transitions. An MBA and a bachelor's in accounting. She has held leadership roles at RG and worked on funded projects from the British Council. Her expertise includes renewable energy, sustainability, governance, and strategy. She has taught and supervised students across various levels. We're happy to have you. Welcome. Okay, so thank you all panelists for honoring this invitation and for your wealth of experience. The mic will be going around. Just a brief. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you. Good to have you. And thank you for honoring this invitation. So first, I'm not sure why my microphone wasn't shared, but it's okay. Yes, so I work with Cypher Percent as Business Development Manager, and I can relate with Engr because I have a background in geology and also geophysics and then MBA. Yeah. So in all of this, I can relate, but what I really appreciate most about this event is the fact that you have a platform that helps you to prepare yourself for the workforce of tomorrow. So you don't go into the industry empty or based on what you're being taught in the classroom. You are equipped with upskilling yourself. You have soft skills. You have technology, innovation, and talent development in general. So, I mean, this is the best place to be, and I'm sure most of us which we had this opportunity would probably have done better in the work environment. So, yeah, so thank you very much. So on that note, also a little bit from my company, we are very much in support of this, and because of that, we actually looked into collaborating opportunities where, you know, academians, technology, industry, and government can collaborate to ensure that we have the efficient workforce for tomorrow. So based on that, I like the diversity of this panel, and we're going to be looking at how in the different areas of expertise, what they bring to the table. I'll be asking questions that at the end of it, we all will be equipped with the information that will help us to be the best candidate for the workforce tomorrow, and not necessarily being an employee. You can also be an employer of your own. So we're going to be looking at the modern day technology, innovation, and then what you need to develop yourself to be the right talent development and the best person adding value to the society at large. So thank you very much. So on that note, I would probably want to, sorry, okay, so most of the questions I'll be asking will span around leveraging SPE platform for collaboration, innovations at different places of work, and how it adds values to make us the best candidates for the workforce tomorrow, and of course pathway to career success. So some of it has been shared earlier, but we'll look more into it as well. So I'll start from the extreme there, and I'll hold this for Dr. Engineer Albert. Just a little bit of background. So looking at the oil and gas industry, it's undergoing rapid transformation due to technological advancement, digitalization, and the growing emphasis on safety, sustainability, and efficiency. So as future professionals, students must understand how these changes will shape career opportunities and workplace expectations. So my question now is, how do you see the rate of young professionals involving in the oil and gas industry, particularly in fields like asset integrity management, where emerging technologies such as AI, robotics, and digital twins are becoming more prevalent? And I'm asking this because you're a senior manager, asset integrity management at Engr. So you want to share some knowledge to
Speakers have told you, and you seem to agree that it's one thing to do the schoolwork, and it is another thing to look forward to a real life. So I'll just say a little about asset integrity management. Many of you may have heard of it, but don't know what it means. I want to let you know that it's even original. So basically, there have been a lot of definitions, but my own definition is asset integrity management ensures that the people, the processes, the systems, and the resources are in place, in use, and will deliver whenever. Should I start again? Okay. Asset integrity management ensures that the people, the processes, the systems, and the resources that deliver integrity are in place, in use, and will perform whenever they are called upon throughout the asset life cycle. So to put it simply, I'm saying that if you drive a car, you should go to sleep knowing that when you step on the brakes, the car will stop. And that when you tap on the hood, your horn, it will, people will hear it. Or your wiper, as the case may be. So that's basically asset integrity management. Now, when you bring it to the oil industry, it basically says to you that all those your production facilities, you need to take extra care to make sure that anytime you call upon them, they will perform for you. So what are we saying? And how does how does that prepare you to come there? What we're saying is that we need to start moving away from the traditional hands-on inspection mode that most of us grew up with to data-driven decision making. That the AI, robotics, and the like that are used for predictive failures. You need them for predictive failures because any issues cost a whole lot of money. So it will help you to reduce maintenance costs. It will help you to prioritize maintenance. And invariably, it will keep your facilities running. Also, you also need to, I hear we've been having conversations on the sidelines before now. Some people think you can just come in and start applying AI because you have access to the internet, you have access to do studies and things like that. But I heard I heard Dr. Ochi speak my mind by saying that indeed you need to know the first principles. You need to know the first principles. ChatGPT, like she said, used to be wrong. In fact, I threw a mathematical question to ChatGPT. I needed speed. It was a speed-based thing that we were doing on the WhatsApp group. And then the thing gave me one answer. And I'm like, no, now, this is this. They said, oh, sorry. I didn't look at that. You know, so if I didn't know it from first principles, I would never have been able to query it, and you will carry it like that to go. However, you need hybrid. So first of all, you need to know the first principles, and you also now need to self-learn. Thankfully, you can do a lot of things by yourself. You also need to self-learn. So I think you need to start preparing yourself to go into the industry by working on what you're doing right now. Very important. Let nobody deceive you. Very important. It will come in handy as you grow up. Thank you. I think I'll stop here.
Thank you very, very much. I got to think out of it. I see a transition from hands-on to automation. That's an asset integrity management. And I think that's probably one opportunity that students want to take note of. So I mean, you can grab him and ask for data and start considering those areas if you want to go into the industry. So from manual. However, the other part is the first principles still stand. I mean, you don't just start automating things without understanding what is going on behind the scene, what is going on at the back end. So you need to make sure that you take charge end to end. And on that note, I'll say please give me a round of applause for sharing that with us. Before I move on to the next question, I'll also request that if you have questions for the panelists, you can scribble it down, and I'll say as much because we want to make sure that we share as much insight as possible. Yes, thank you. So I'll come back to the side. So for Dr. Riverson, I really commend you. You're doing a whole lot in SPE Africa. I mean, you see your emails flying around all the time, ATC, and all of that. I really commend you. And on that, I will say what challenges are other African countries facing with respect to upskilling young professionals to prepare them for the future. And then how can SPE platform create an enabling environment for upskilling young professionals? I hope that's good.
Okay, thank you so much. And wonderful greetings from Ghana. But for me, I think I'm home. So that's why I'm wearing my cap. You can identify me because I was in the car. All right. I think you talk about what SPE offers to young professionals. Okay. Yeah, I think I made a quote on LinkedIn a few months ago that what actually upsets me is not the kind of leadership we have in Africa, but it's about the young talents that lead the continent. And it's so painful that it's not only the case in Nigeria. Even in Ghana, if you talk to any young professional, about 40% of them, for sure in Ghana, would like to leave the continent, to look for greener pastures. I think it all boils down from education. And the challenge, one of the biggest challenges in Africa is education. When I was doing a course at Stanford University, I intentionally made a mistake and answered a question that the professor gave with a very bad sentiment. And it was a trial, actually. But the professor took it very right and applauded me for the answer I gave. This same answer I gave in Stanford, if I'm giving it back in Ghana, that has to leave the class. People are allowed to think, whilst in Africa we are allowed to accept whatever the professor or the doctor tells us to. So you chew, you pour your answer, and you forget it. How many of us here still remember our basic algebra? You go to the phone to even type or to calculate 1 plus 1 sometimes, or no. And if we understand that the curriculum needs to be updated and upgraded at least every 4 years or 5 years, it will help the students to know what trends that are in the industry. And here I'm just limiting my knowledge around oil and gas, because I'm also a lecturer in 4 universities back home, and only for masters and PhD level. But when I meet the students whom I expect to know certain things at the master's level, and they don't, it's really shocks me. When I sit in interviews where I used to work at Ghana Gas or where I am now, and basic questions about what they think I think they need to know, and they don't, it actually boggles my mind. So I think that is where we are. I mean, giving the right training and having the guys to have implementation plan towards capacity building for our young professionals. I think one thing we learned from Nigeria in the year 2017 was the addition of 1% revenue share in a levy, in a fund, to support capacity building, which we didn't have before, but Nigeria had it in the PA, in the petroleum agreement. Exactly. So what Ghana then did was to understand that capacity building for oil and gas in the oil and gas industry is efficient, and there was no budget for it. So the solution was to go back to the revenue accrued from service companies to be used. And that was maybe the solution already there. And when you go to countries like Eastern Corridor, Angola is doing fantastically well because it's been in the industry for a long time. But when you go to countries like Uganda, Tanzania, where the oil and gas industry is so very nascent, they are yet to even have the understanding, the grips of the national or local content policy to address the capacity building challenges that they have. Because one thing you realize is that more than 80% of the industry is still managed by foreigners when you go to the other side, where Nigeria has already transitioned. And if you see local companies competing with the likes of Schlumberger and Baker Hughes and the rest, it's even amazing. And that is why one of the most important things I want to achieve before I leave the position is to form, to have that information that other African countries can leverage on other African countries like Nigeria to offset the challenges in capacity and also knowledge transfer. And now let me come to what SPE also gives. Every student here understands why this is happening. And I'm happy what Mrs. Ogogo mentioned and what also needed about the fact that for me personally, if I had a chance to sit in a gathering like this 20 years ago, I think I'd have done better than what I'm doing today. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. 80% of the people here are just here because they have to be here. And they will go probably to do nothing about it. And that's why I'm very happy that the Vice Council Chair now asked students to come and tell him what they've actually learned. Because you also want to know that whatever we are doing is having an impact on the students. And I always say that there are a group of people who learn from others' mistakes and avoid them. There are other people who will learn from their own mistakes, and OG mentioned that. There are other people who also don't learn from their own mistakes and won't learn from any other mistakes. And they are there. You know, you need to be intentional about what you want to do. And SPE has all the platforms. I have mentored students across Africa and even out of Africa on SPE platforms. I still receive requests, which unfortunately I'm not able to answer now, but there's a platform for students to be mentored. And to your surprise, I also have mentors. I still have mentors. I don't have it all figured out in my career or in my life. So how much more you students? If you are here and you don't have somebody you look up to, then I'm sorry that you already failed from first principle. Okay? SPE gives a platform for educational trips, what you call a field trip. At least I've seen students across Africa written letters to SLB, written letters to other service companies and have it recognized. We also have what we call the Temitope, which we saw yesterday. Let me also say that yesterday, I'm sure I thought you were a student, sorry. I thought you were playing the Temitope also. But yesterday was an amazing show yesterday. And I was even asking myself some of the questions that the students were being asked. I didn't know the answer. But they were passing and answering them because you have the knowledge base, you have the time to research. And at the same time, some of the questions that they asked that you couldn't answer, I was shocked you couldn't answer them, but probably they are very practical. All right. The SPC which is happening now, students showcasing their intellectual capacity. If I were you, I would apply every year to have my paper presented. We say that practice makes man perfect. I remember my first paper competition, and it was in Poland. I went to present my master's paper. They gave me 10 minutes, I presented for 20 minutes, talk about nothing. Just wasted everybody's time. But when I came the following year, I was doing my PhD and I took overall first position. And I was then taken to ATC to present. All right, so you take advantage of the fact that you are novice. You mess up, it doesn't end there. Everybody fails, and failure is part of the progress. If you fail, you should thank God that you failed because you're going to actually do better than the next time. And one of the few things I also mentioned is that SPE gives you another advantage that first year after your graduation, we give you free membership. All right, most of you don't know that. It's when now they get job that they write to SPE that I'm now working, let me do my membership, and then SPE will bill you for the year that you didn't pay. So even though you don't have a job, get access to the SPE membership. If you don't have a job in the second year, write to SPE that you still don't have a job, they're still going to waive it off for you. Because SPE is an NGO, we are we are not a money-making machine. All right, so we also understand the needs of the young professionals. And when you become a young professional, it's even amazing. The young professional workshop, which is happening here in Nigeria, in Lagos, the first week of August, is there for young professionals after university to also network and learn from experts as seated here. I will take that.
Area of SPE sponsorship for those who are experienced to have free membership. And another thing that stood out for me from what you said was you want to ensure that before you leave your career, you want to see a strong synergy among countries such that you have more competition, more knowledge sharing, and use it as a platform for more skills. Is that correct? Okay, and so I would also encourage us to also take advantage of that SPE platform And I want to see you do more of this. I mean, of course, with your executives and your collaboration. And that will also lead me to my next question, because I'll come back to you in terms of collaboration. I will now take you back to yeah, so Dr. you have very strong landmark in the educational sector. You currently lecture at okay, yeah. You have a okay, yeah, so thank you very much. So that yeah, so I was going to ask that I want to make it what you have said now, and I want to take it to having a strong collaboration. So a strong collaboration between academia and industry is very essential. We are very to ensure that the university graduates are well prepared for the challenges and opportunities in the oil and gas sector. And bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and the real-world application is very crucial for career success. Yeah, so the question from this now is, how can university and industry players work together? That's more like collaboration, work together to enhance talent development in the energy sector. So what can students do proactively to bridge the gap between classroom learning and industry expectations? I mean, yeah, so I would like you to use very practical case studies from your lecturing in University. I mean, because it has to be relatable, and I want the audience here to take some practical steps that they can apply after this and to upskill themselves.
Thank you very much for moderating the session. I'm really delighted to be here, and I stand on all protocols. Nice to meet so many faces I met at SPE in August. I'm so happy to be here to speak to students. So I'm a lecturer at Riverson University, so I teach across the whole stages of the university. So I teach both undergraduate, postgraduate. I also teach an MBA program and also supervise PhD students. So at Riverson University, we have a large community of Nigerians. So if you're thinking of any university, you might want to look up Riverson University, especially Northerners, really. So I think before I respond to your question, first of all, I understand that the educational system is totally different in Nigeria compared to the UK. And that's because I finished from Obafemi Awolowo University. I did my undergraduate there. And then I proceeded to do my MBA at RGU and then a PhD. I was keen on giving back to Nigeria. That's why my PhD was focused on the electricity sector. One of the issues I identified when I started my MBA was the fact that they have unlimited electricity supply. They also have 100% energy access. So it was interesting to hear somebody talk about, closing the gap in terms of energy access. And so I was curious to find out what exactly are the issues. Why can't we also have 100% energy access, but also a very good electricity supply? Those curiosity was what led me to do a PhD. Now, as a student, you're here seated, you're building your technical skills, you're doing various programs. One of the most important skills to take with you is that curiosity. Observe what's going on, and then think of how to improve it, how to add value to it. And this is where we talk about the collaboration between universities and industry. As a university, you would actually be working in silo if you teach without involving industry players, identifying what are the solutions, what are the problems out there, and then thinking of how to facilitate that within the university's wall. This is something that Nigeria is trying to do better, but we are still not there. I love the fact that you spoke about first principle. Most of the times when you see Nigerians that live, that school in Nigeria and go abroad, for those ones that have very good understanding of the first principle, they really, really do well. And that's because in the UK, for example, we are more solution-driven. And so sometimes the first principles are not delved into as much as we do here. But Nigerians that go over, because they have a very good understanding, they are able to be more critical and ask questions compared to maybe people that they apply with in terms of jobs. Like I said, the UK is a different context whereby everybody has a degree, everybody finishes with even a first class, a 2-1, so it's not anything really significant. So what makes you different from your counterparts? The difference is your meta skills. The difference is your behavior. The difference is your leadership skills. The difference is the soft skills that you develop. Now, for different industry, they have different meta skills. If you apply to engineering in terms of the role you're applying to, it's totally different when you're looking for a managerial role, or when you're looking for, let's say, a role in HR, for example. So each industry has their specific expectation for meta skills. So please try and investigate what skills are required within your industry and make sure that you take more deliberate steps to build those skills. Interesting enough, I said supervise MBAs and even PhDs. Sometimes when you see some of the skills that they display, you're almost wondering what have they done in the 15, 20 years of working in Nigeria. And that's because some of the skills that they should have built while they're in school, when you have abundant time, when you are not yet so fixated with money. Some skills, for example, like PowerPoint skills, build that. You don't need any training for that. You just need your laptop and your ability to put things, modify, edit, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it might be your speaking skills. You might want to, somebody spoke about, oh, I'm a bit shy, I don't talk too much. I'm also not an extrovert, I'm very introverted, really. But if you want to make a difference and you want to stand out, you have to be able to communicate your ideas. You must be able to sell yourself. And so if you can build that within the university system, that would go a long way to help you. Another very important bit, which I spoke about, is the behavioral skills. Now, if you're applying for a job in the UK, you have your credential, you finish with the first class, you finish with a distinction, it doesn't mean you get the job. So what they want to see is how you behave, how you work in teams. Are you a team player? One thing we tend to do is we are always looking at our own self-interest. But over there, you're looking at the collective good of the community. So that's something you could also develop within the university. Think about a project, like for example, have the petrol bowl, that requires, so you can think about what exactly needs to be achieved, and then also behave in such a way that helps the team achieve the goal as against individualistic goal. Those things set you apart in the workplace because you're looking at business value, you're looking at optimizing or driving efficiency as against your own prestige, and goals. But it's also important to also look towards what you want to achieve as an individual. Your personal development is your responsibility. In the UK, looking at, for example, the RGU or in Scotland, we do a lot of industry projects. We work in partnership with the industry. So, for example, when you start a degree, you might be given a topic to work on a company. Maybe they have a problem, and then they give you the brief, and so that will be part of your assessment. As against here, where we do exam, and then it's more or less ability to understand and reproduce rather than create. So, in summary, you have the skills, you have the first principles. Don't stop there. Be curious, ask questions, go ahead and develop your own personal skills, which we have with Udemy, with LinkedIn Learn, and so many learning platforms that you could leverage on. But please don't just stop at the technical skills. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Racheal. Insights shared were quite powerful for me. I like the fact that you said industry is very much involved in education. And right from the beginning, you make it very practical. You get their topics and they are assigned to industries and they're able to make good use of it to get what they want. And it starts with curiosity, right? So you're curious, and then I also like the fact that it's not about your academic academic grades. It's about team collaboration, what you're able to get, how you can work with people, fostering relationships, and leveraging that good knowledge to make an impact on the world. So thank you. So based on curiosity, I will bring it back to Nigeria and I'll take it back into the industry. And my question is now going to be from Naima. I mean, we're talking about those skills that we will need, right? So what's those skills that we will need? So my question will be, what emerging technologies are shaping the future of the energy workforce? How should current and future professionals prepare for these changes? I mean, you are very big in the innovation space. You're the MD of Right Leap Solutions, and you're doing very good in the industry. We've come across in projects one way or the other. I mean, please, a round of applause for her. You're doing very well in the industry. Yeah, so to make it more relatable, to make it more practical, a young student walks up to you and say, well, I have a first class or I have a 2-1. Is that enough to give the person a job? What skills do they require in this emerging technology space? So, I mean, sorry. Yeah, so we want relatable skills in the industry now.
Okay, thank you very much. And that answer is a big no. Actually, I would tell you, I don't think I had looked at any CV. The whole of the team that I'm working with at the moment, I don't think I personally had seen. Probably the HR department, but I haven't. I think one key thing that I had wanted to hear the speakers talk about is the attitude, and I'm glad that you just did that. I think that's the number one thing. Right from the university, you have to have the right attitude. And to be honest, that's what is lacking so much right now in the entire workforce. Gen Z, I really don't know what to call you guys. But before I talk deeper into this, I would like to say I'm really, really glad I'm sitting on this panel. I'm a product of BUK. I graduated. It's really amazing to feel the energy. I do think I've been here since 2005. That's when I graduated with a BSc in chemistry. But then I jumped into IT right out of BUK. I think there was a center that was built at the old site. And I started my journey into IT there. Now I'm actually in the oil and gas industry. So it's really about the attitude. I would say that again. It took me about probably 10 years to figure out what exactly I wanted to do or how I was going to do it. I knew that I wasn't meant to do a 9-to-5 job. But I didn't know how not to do that. So I definitely started with the 9-to-5, but I eventually was able to get out and start what I'm doing right now. And I can tell you, I would say I had the right attitude. I was consistent and I was persistent at the same time. So right now we are running, I think, one of the successful system integrators in the oil and gas industry. So definitely the attitude is one key. I don't know that I'll call that a skill, but you have to have the right mindset. It's very, very important. Yes, communication, all those things about it, that's very important. Now, what are the skills that are needed? So if you have the right attitude, you probably would do the setting of goals that the speakers were talking about. Now, when you set a goal, you have to make sure that you have actionable steps to achieve those goals. So you have to be current to know what's happening in the industry. And honestly, I would say you don't need someone to come and tell you that. If you're waiting for somebody to tell you what to look out for, then you definitely don't have the right attitude. I remember you mentioned that you find it frustrating when you're mentoring someone and they're not necessarily taking the right action to make sure that they're putting in the work. That's very, very important. If you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do, then you're actually not ready. So you have to be very much proactive in looking at what's happening out there. If right from the university you know I want to get a job in NNPC, you need to know what NNPC is doing. What's happening in the oil and gas industry? What are the gaps that are there? I can tell you right now, I would say I got into the oil and gas industry maybe in 2009. But I can tell you I'm very comfortable talking with a petroleum engineer or a geoscientist and all of those things, because what I do is IT. If you're an IT professional, you have to know literally everything, because what we're doing is we help organization transition, digital transformation. For you to transform digitally, you have to understand the processes, understand what's happening, how they're doing it. There is a lot going on there. What do you want to be? You want to be a software developer? You can be a petroleum engineer and you can still be a software developer. Right now we are talking about ChatGPT.
everybody, you have to be able to use these AI tools because there are many of them out there. But it's not necessarily about saying, can you draft me a proposal? You have to know the right, prompt to give ChatGPT for it to give you the right answer. If not, it will definitely give you rubbish. What you give it is what it's going to give it back. So you have to be able to be deliberate about learning, knowing what's out there before you're able to do good research. Anyway, so if you do the research, you know what is out there and where you're headed, then you have to now start building the skills. So I can tell you, you might not know what you want to do now, but definitely it has to be something around technology. You have to know how to use the technology. You don't have to build the technology, but you have to know how to use the technology. So what are those technologies out there? I feel really old and I'm struggling to learn, but I'm still learning, right? Right from the beginning, I knew I don't want to write codes, but I know I'm going to manage a bunch of data scientists or software engineers, so I knew I had to know what it is that they're going to be coding so that nobody's going to tell me, oh, we're not going to be able to do that because of A, B, C, and D. So I had to know what they're doing. It doesn't mean I'm writing codes, but there's no software engineer that's going to tell me something I know, right? So these are the things that I think, and all this boils down to attitude first. Because any other skill that is a technical skill, I can guarantee you can learn it. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to be an engineer, by the way. You can study Hausa or Arabic or whatever, but you will be able to pick those skills. It's really that easy. So you just have to have the right attitude and be intentional about what you want to do and who you want to be, and you can achieve anything. I can tell you. I was sitting on those chairs, you know, sweating in they're not as luxurious as this. Trust me, when we were in school, it was hot, we were sitting on windows, and I'm sitting on this panel right now. I feel really honored. So I can tell you that you can be where you want to be, but you just have to have the right attitude and you have to have the right skill.
Hold on to the mic. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm amazed with the twist from biochemistry to a leading digital technology provider in the oil and gas industry. You've done very well for yourself, and I'm really proud of you. Thank you very much. So in addition to the soft skills, I'm going to shake your table a little bit and I'm going to deep dive. I'm telling you that these students want to apply to you. I don't think the right attitude or first class is enough. I want details. Are you considering data analytics? Are you considering robotics? Are you talking about AI animation? So what are those skills that ordinarily they're not familiar with in school, but will give them an advantage, will get your attention if they're coming for a job in your company? So I want details.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I know that there's definitely a gap between, you know, the academia and the industry and the skills required. Yeah, that's
exactly. So those are the gaps.
So the gaps that are there, obviously. By the way, if you're a data scientist and you also know petroleum engineering, you can definitely apply to my organization. So what we do is we build business intelligence tools and strategic planning tools for organizations, and especially in the oil and gas industry. So definitely, if you are an AI engineer, AI engineering is very, very important. It's very easy to learn. You have YouTube University that you can definitely leverage. You know, within 3 months you can learn lots of information, lots of skills that you probably would learn in the 5 years you're in the university studying engineering. So YouTube is definitely your friend. So AI skills, machine learning, data science generally, and software engineering, I would say, the whole life. These things are really intertwined. And sometimes you start from one and then you get into the other. But I can tell you right now, one of the key things that I know is being looked at in the university are technologies around digital twins, automated oil fields. In Nigeria at the moment, a lot of the oil fields are not automated. Data is literally managed manually, so it moves from one person to another. Data analytics is extremely important because that is what is helping these businesses make informed decisions, save costs, you know, make sure that their facilities are up and running, just like you mentioned earlier. These are things that are very important. So if you are able to have those skills that can be applied at the moment directly to the industry, you know, you have a greater chance of being successful. I know that that's...
Oh yeah, that answers my question. Yeah. Thank you. I hope that also brings some clarity to the gaps of the digital twins, the AI automation, but most specifically, one leads to the other. They're all intertwined, right? Yeah, so they take the first steps in what they're doing currently and see how impactful it can get in what organization they want to join, and then they start putting data together.
I'm sorry to take a little bit of time, and some of these things really, they are names that sound cliche, fancy. They are nothing, so let me give you a typical example. For example, now you probably are helping your parents do grocery every month, right? And you're keeping the data for cost of that grocery. And you have an Excel sheet that you're just filling on a monthly basis. So you're able to see the trend of cost going up or going down, or how fast your mom is finishing Maggie in her store, and all of that. And you are able to, either plan, if you're part of that supporting the household, that means you want to make sure that you can make a decision to either be buying groceries on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, depending on what that data is telling you. I'm using this example because I want to tell you that is data analytics, data analysis. It's nothing more than that. It's just looking at a bunch of data to see, oh, this is going up or this is going down. Why is it changing? That is just what it is. But they are just terminologies that are being used. So, but what is machine learning? Machine learning is simply a bunch of data, and you have a technology that is just looking at that data and see what happens when I move this machine here. Something happens. And when I shake this table, definitely this machine is going to move or it's going to fall down. If you have been recording that data for 10 years, automatically you're telling the machine that whenever you see this table moving, the next thing that's going to happen is that's machine learning. It's nothing more than that, really. It's very easy. It's what you use every day. If they're just names that are being used and it looks like it's a big deal, it's not. So please, just do your research. YouTube is your friend. There is everything and anything you're looking for. Free. You don't need to pay for it. So please equip yourselves.
So very well said. On that note, I would like to challenge students here to start taking data and start something on automation. Start building, making a form of, start doing your data analytics, and then start doing your data analytics and start automating those processes. And by the time you get into the industry, you can show them your project from people. I know this is what you people are doing currently. You're currently in manual situation, you're trying to transit. I have the field data and I take this out. There's nobody you tell that the first thing they'll do is to give you this name here. Nobody's going to ask if you have a 2-1 or a first class. So come out of your box, come out of the school walls, and start thinking out of the box. Yeah, thank you, Naima, for sharing. So let's deep dive into the industry. Out of innovation a little bit to more of efficiency. And I'm coming to Kenya. This is very well in the industry. I see it everywhere. Cypher and I see in Cypher, I see in SPE, I see in NAPE, I see in OWI, and everywhere you go, you're making an impact. You're sharing lessons learned from your industry, from your company, how you move it from startup to scaling up and correctly, and then making it more practical now. Let's come back to this. The future of the work of the energy industry is being shaped by automation, big data, and digitalization. So companies are increasingly seeking professionals who can integrate these new technologies, some of which she has mentioned, into traditional operations to drive efficiency and reduce risk. You being in the area of well intervention and completion. So my question would be for students looking to build careers in the oil and gas industry, particularly in technical fields like drilling, completion, workover, and well controls. What are the key technical and digital skills that they should focus on to remain competitive in the workforce of tomorrow?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to appreciate the SPE for providing this wonderful platform for students to learn. I also want to appreciate the school for accepting to host this wonderful event. I also want to extend my appreciation to my elder brother, largely Adedokun, wonderful benefits for us to come in. Thank you very much. The industry has been evolving. A lot of things are moving from manual to digital. And these are always made in human nature to improve in terms of productivity, and not just productivity, looking for saving costs and liberation technology to increase more revenue. So it has been in human DNA, whether it's oil and gas, agro-allied industry, or water rougher industry, technology is really shaking up the industry. And I want to start by educating some of our students here that the question they ask is not just about me, not just about the oil and gas industry, because I know a majority of us may not end up in the oil and gas industry, and this is the fact. The fact is that you may think that the oil and gas industry is an industry that everybody needs to be, but there are other smaller industries that people are making impact that has nothing to do with oil and gas. But today we are discussing oil and gas. And the awareness in the world today is that Nigerians are pushing out to take ownership of the asset. Our regulator here made mention of asset integrity. In asset integrity, you want to talk of the upstream, the downstream, the midstream. And I play major on the upstream. From drilling completion, well maintenance, even on to brownfield asset integrity. And we know what is going on when the IOCs and some of the IOCs are leaving. And we have seen that there are some assets that things have been digitized before and they are bringing it back to manual. And the case may be because the skill set are no longer there for people to man them. And one of them is oil evacuation. You know, before your control room knowing everything that is happening in the well, and from there you move on to process plant, and from process plant you move on to the pipeline. In Nigeria today, it's difficult for you to see an oil company that is utilizing either TMP or the other line that are constantly being vandalized. And you now see people moving on to what they call barging technology. And barging technology is completely manual because people have not learned, or there is no upgrade in terms of technology to say, okay, since the pipeline is no longer functioning, how can we digitize the barging operation? And in a lot of Nigerian oil and gas today, their cost per barrel is very high. They are not making any profit. And you see some people saying, I'm producing 20, 40,000 barrels of oil per day. What is your cost per barrel? Because what technology does is that technology helps you reduce costs. And because everything is done manually now, people will fabricate a barge, bring it closer, they fabricate something there, and everything is just being done manual. And a lot of human activities, and sometimes you see most of these fires happening here and there, like the one that happened in Cotton Channels some weeks ago, where the barge and the crude oil, over 200,000 barrels were burnt. And you see the loss. The loss are happening in the industry because we are neglecting digital transformation. Because these would have helped if the pipeline, when the pipeline was working, was there, that when you produce, as the well is producing, they are monitoring it in the control room in what they call DSN. They are monitoring there. From there, they move into process plant. From process plant to the pipeline, and from pipeline even onto the manifold where they are loading from. Everything used to be monitored, but for now we are lagging behind in Nigeria, and that is making Nigeria to lose millions of billions of US dollars per day. And that is an opportunity for someone here sitting to say, what can I do to digitize barging technology? And we also need to understand environmental awareness. I used to tell people, I want to tell my friends today here, that I don't believe on safe awareness. I believe on environmental awareness. After environmental awareness, I will now look at myself because I'm the product of environment. If I don't know what is happening in my environment, how will I know what is going to affect me? So if you look at the world today, the trend, economic trend going in the world today is moving towards digitalization. And how would you know that you have opportunity here? Is because Europe and America are already there. And you know what they call the global south. The global south is that the economy of the world is moving towards the southern part of the world, not the north. I did a little course in LSE, London School of Economics and Political Science, about global economy. And I discovered that in the global south, you are having two economic blocks. You have the BRICS, which all of us are known about: Russia, India, China, South Africa. The next one is called the MINT, M-I-N-T. They call Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Turkey. That is the next country to look out for after Russia, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Nigeria is part of the country the whole world is watching to see what is going to come out of it. And it's not going to be done by the people in government there. It's going to be done by me and you sitting here. We need to know that we have a chance for us to make them. We have a chance for us to produce the next Dangote, the next Eliminus, and so. Because the world is watching towards us. Now, I was in the flight yesterday, and I'm seeing Chinese on the flight. I was asking my colleague, what are Chinese coming to do in Kano? They will watch there. I'm not against any tribe. But people living here doesn't know that there are a lot of resources. There are a lot of things going on here. But foreigners that know better than you, because they have scanned your environment, they know what you know, what you don't know, that you are sitting on minerals. Most of them are coming from mining. And I don't know how many of you are in the mining sector here. So we need to understand that the world is watching us to take responsibility because we belong to the group of economic bloc that is going to shape the world in the nearest future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One thing I picked up from it was an opportunity for badging technology. So if you want to start looking into that as well, start putting your data together. Thank you for sharing, and also for people to scan around them. Don't limit yourself to energy sector. Don't limit yourself to oil and gas upstream. Start looking around policies. Start looking around to mining and any opportunities around. I mean, that curiosity was also there for me. On my flight, I saw some white guys, and I was like, I really, what's going on there. So I think we should move ahead. We should go ahead with them and make very good use of opportunity. So thank you for sharing that insights. Thank you once again. Yeah, so I'll move on to Dr. Aminu. Yeah, so I know you're a strong player in policy of methane pollution and also clean energy. Is that correct? Yes. So just a few questions. So one is that I know the energy sector is currently has a significant transformation that is driven by digitalization, decarbonization. Decarbonization is the word for me. Yeah, and then there is a global push towards sustainability. So in this evolving landscape, innovation and talent development have become very critical pillars for long-term success. And then there's also the growing need for stronger collaboration between policymakers, academians, and academic institutions, and then the oil and gas industry, so that we can align additional outcomes for real-world needs and promote cutting-edge research and create an environment for innovation. So the question here is, how can policy, academia, and the oil and gas industry collaborate effectively to drive innovation and then accelerate progress in this sector, particularly in the next generation of professionals entering the field? So I want to look at it in the area of policy, government, and what you're doing currently, and how it can be used to make an impact, and what the young professionals should look out for,
especially in areas of policy and decarbonization, sustainability in the energy industry?
So I would say that maybe I'll just give a quick overview of what I do. So I work in the area of climate policy, but I focus on methane emissions prevention in Africa. And so we work with governments. We are an international environmental organization. We work with governments, particularly regulators. So I'm glad that I'm seeking data from NEPs, and we've been working together to see how we help them draft regulations that aim to reduce emissions. So emissions here mean that there are different GHGs in our classes, but then we're focusing mainly on the emissions. And so we were able to draft the first time methane regulations in oil and gas industry in Africa, in Nigeria, with collaboration from the NGR. So now, so you asked that how do these stakeholders work together, right? I would say that they are already working together. You know, if you want to work on climate change policy, you can't do that as a policy maker without bringing others. Now, climate change is a science. So because it is a science, you need evidence-based policy formulation mechanisms. So you can't sit and do policy without evidence. You know, if I am trying to reduce emissions in Nigeria, I need to know how much Nigeria is flaring. You know, how much emissions are coming from oil and gas sector, from waste sector, and all of that. And then I need to have established that baseline to see what I can do to help reduce those emissions. So as policymakers, we are also scientists, and we have our own in-house tools, how we can work with governments, with operators in the industry, that is those operators that are being overseen by regulators, to see what effort are we putting in place and what is the level of reduction as we move forward. So we are already working with them. Now, the challenge, and this is because I'm speaking to young people here, the challenge is how do you make yourself in demand? You know, it's not enough for you to understand that these stakeholders are working together, but how do you fit into this? So I also started as a geologist, and then I asked myself, what am I going to do in my life? You know, now that I study geology, and I know that people have been studying geology for a long time. So how do I stand out? You know, what difference, how do I make myself in demand? So I started by thinking of understanding something that sets me apart from my peers, that is geology. So I went into petroleum engineering. So I wanted to combine both geoscience and engineering. Someone talked about the need for geoscientists and petroleum engineers to work together. They must continue to work together, but do you have someone, an individual who has that combination between geoscience and engineering? You need geologists to tell you where the oil is. You need the engineers to tell you how to bring out the oil, how to do production. And I was looking around here and realized that it is around the city here. And I think he's one of those people that inspire me to do geoscience and engineering. So again, Riverson mentioned that it is good for young people to understand the need to have a mentor. You know, you need to look up to somebody to say, this is where I want to be. You know, if you want to go somewhere, who are the people who are already there? What did they do to get there? And that's so clear. A lot of people in this world are smart, but they don't know what to do with their lives. My dad had always told me that, look, you know, knowing what to do with your life is probably the most difficult challenge that challenge because they want an easy path to continuity. You know, you want to just continue from where you stopped at your master's level. So I got into the PhD program. Those who know or are familiar with the UK PhD programs know that those programs are usually not taught programs. You know, so you just go into this side. Now, that is the challenge because if you go into a taught program, you realize that you have to learn everything yourself. Now, how do I learn everything myself? How do I challenge the teacher? You know, how do I challenge those who are experts in the field for me to get my degree? Now, I went and met my supervisor. He too had no idea what I wanted to do. But I said, look, I'm going to start with a review paper. Because it's only by a review paper that I will get to learn the details. But I will publish this review paper because I want somebody to challenge me. So that by the time I'm able to publish the review paper, I will be like, okay, I am there. Now, it wasn't easy. I had to travel around the UK to find experts to help critique my manuscript. It took me 2 years to do that. At the end, I was able to publish my paper. And I told my supervisor, I said, I'm going to give you the best paper in your career. Now, by the time I published the paper, he understood because during the process of publication, during the peer review process, reviewers told us that this is very difficult to publish because I said I was going to publish on a review of developments in carbon dioxide sources. So I was not looking at review of developments in saline aquifer, in what is the second one? Depleted oil and gas reservoirs, in basalt formations. I wanted to do a review that covers everything in carbon dioxide sources. So you can imagine how difficult that is because it's such a broad field. Now, we've got that published. Reviewers told us that they would allow us to probably publish after a lot of rejections. And it's also important that people here know that you can't get there without rejections. Rejections are part of life. Earlier you accept it. That paper was rejected probably 4 times by 4 different journals, but we kept trying. But again, in rejections, there is always an opportunity to improve because nobody rejects you without telling you why they are rejecting you. So you need to use that reason for rejection to help improve. Now, by the time we got this published, and this was published in 2017, this paper has now been cited 915 times. Everybody on that paper, you know, for people from British Geological Survey, which is the world's oldest geological survey, for my supervisor who has probably 5,000 citations, but if you do the granularity analysis, you realize that this paper gave him 900 books and he doesn't have any one paper that gave him that. This paper is also probably the best paper I've written and I'm going to write in my life. So I'm just saying that, you know, you need to find a way of challenging yourself to place yourself in such a position where people need you. You know, so, you know, I've applied for jobs, and even when I don't get the job, so I'll just confess here that I didn't need a job at ExxonMobil because I feel I'm happy with what I'm doing. But I met someone from ExxonMobil in the US, and he said, can you apply for a position at Exxon? And I applied, and they interviewed me. And at the end, they came back after a couple of weeks and said, look, we all went home with an excellent indication of what you have, what you have been doing. But we are not giving you this job not because we don't like you or, you know, it's just because you don't fit this role. So please find another role, apply and get back to us. And probably